welcome to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer fantasy podcast to quench your hobby thirst for all things the old world. I'm back. I'm one of your hosts, Gomer. I'm joined, as usual, by Andrew and Josh, but we've got a special guest here, Matt Morris. Mate, how are you going, and how are you all going, actually?
I'm pretty sure we're all doing pretty well. Matt, how are you going?
We're all on time. We're all here. We're all smiling. How's your Easter, guys?
Easter was fine. Yeah. Didn't get a huge hobby time. It's hard to get enough done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you guys go away?
I did. I went up a couple of hours north from here. Well, 4 hours north from here, just family, and then got back on Sunday. We actually travelled back on Easter Sunday, so I didn't have to do the whole stuck in traffic for half the day.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
It
does get pretty crazy.
Yeah. Did you go anywhere, Matt?
No, not really. I went to the museum on Friday, and
Is that
the Ramses?
Awesome!
Thing.
I didn't know this. I want to go to that. Do you reckon that's lots of inspiration for my Toon Kings if I go?
Probably, actually. It's a good ornament, good stuff there to look at.
Looks
I went to the one in Canberra a while ago, actually. It finishes in May, I think.
Oh, okay. Might have time.
There's one down in Canberra, actually. It's better, I think.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, actually, I think I'm going to go to a Canberra tournament in June, so maybe it's still there.
Ooh.
Cool. Yeah, well, we've got, just for the listeners, we've got Matt on, who is running one of our old world tournaments down in Sydney in, a couple of weeks' time, isn't it?
Yeah, about 3 weeks.
Yeah, Shiretown Showdown at the ShireCon. Yeah. We talked about this briefly last week. So we wanted to get Matt on just to, obviously run us through his TO experience, the players pack and things like that for the tournament. And then I guess with the discussion about tournaments and FAQs and comp, and just some of the discussions we've been floating around the interwebs, particularly on some of our Facebook groups that we manage. It's I'll call it heated. I don't mean it in a bad way, but yeah, different opinions. And Matt's obviously got an opinion as a TO, so we thought, let's chat about that as well.
Just to open that can of worms a little bit.
Yeah, it's time to open it. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, strong opinions.
Yeah. So we'll do that. That's pretty much the main topic. So it's actually two topics, but who knows if we'll blend them together. I don't know. We don't really have any news and stuff, so I'm probably just go straight into thanking the people who make some of this possible, hey, the patrons. I don't think we had any new ones. Well, maybe, I don't know. So I didn't see any alerts, so maybe we just got the same ones. But anyway, I'll just go through the list of patrons. For those who aren't aware, you can just go to patreon.com/oldworldfanatics. It's $2 a month and just helps us pay for some recording software, basically. That's about what we put it towards. So thanks a lot for the current 24 or 5 or something paid supporters, which is pretty cool. There is a free tier too, which you're welcome to join as well, which, I mean, we don't post a lot of private stuff, but if we do, you'll get access to that stuff as well. So anyway, thanks Griff, Jess, Woodduck, Sean, and Josh, Ninanum, which I can never say, Matt, which is not this Matt, Daniel Broadstock, Jonathan, Gilthos, Cameron, Elliot, Chris Turnbull, Harrison, Gilthos again. Sorry, one of these is free. Julian, Diesel, Cameron, Richard, William, Robert, and here we go, Tally the Enlightened. Yes.
Different.
Pretty good. Andrew McAllister, Bobby Gherkin, Gumwich, Sean, Todd, and Chapstick. So, yeah, we got Tally the Enlightened. I'm not sure. I don't know, Matt, you might not know, but one of our patrons changes his name every time, and I think now it's a deliberate joke, which is fun. We don't know what we're going to be reading.
It's a thing.
That one was a lot more PG, so that was good. Wasn't too scary.
Yeah. What was the last one? Like Thrusty Stiff Pants or something?
Something weird. So thanks, guys. Thanks for being a Patreon. If you are interested, obviously, I'll just check out the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously just hit our like, subscribe, and the bell button because it helps us get some coverage. If you can do that, that'd be much appreciated. Outside of that, though, we can get on to some hobby time, and then we'll get onto the main topic with Matt. How's that sound? Who wants to go first for hobby? Should we throw Matt under? Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
throw the
yeah,
guest under.
That's a bit mean, isn't it?
Yeah. How about you go, Josh?
No.
I can go first.
I'll go first because
Oh, okay.
you start small, and then
Oh,
there's only
mine's
up.
not good.
There's only up from me. Well, it's better than what
Okay.
I've been doing.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So in prep for because I'm heading down to ShireCon. So when's that? Yeah, 2 weeks away. I'm not quite sure. I got 2 armies I'm still trying to sort out, but I think I might be taking my dwarves. So I was looking at putting a bunch of Iron Wardens on 20 millimeters because that's what all my dwarf army is. And I thought, well, stuff it. I'll just start the rebasing process. So I've been painting and rebasing my Iron Wardens. So I'm not bringing 30, but I've got 30 models basically.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, I've got about I think 13 painted now, and the other 17 or whatever it is, I've got to get painted and rebased. So yeah, that's all
So
I've
they'll
been
be
doing
rebased on the 25s, and you just use the adapters for the rest of them until you move your way
for the
through it.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got for some reason I've got all sorts of basing styles, so it would be good to get them all uniformed. So yeah, I got
Nice.
That's all I've been doing.
Didn't you find some little squig-shaped Easter eggs over the
Oh,
weekend
yes.
as well?
That's fine.
Yeah. I was
Talking
cleaning.
about stripping.
Cleaning out my garage, and there was like this old ice cream container. And yeah, that's right. I pulled it down. I was just going to throw it in the bin, and it started rattling. I'm like, oh, what's in here? Open it up.
Oh,
and
man.
there's 15 odd squigs or something in there. Like, yeah,
With no liquid left.
no liquid.
Oh, was it dry in there? And it all evaporated?
Yeah. It was all dry, and then like all the paint had obviously come off and then dried. So like,
Coagulated at the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
so the bottom mill and every squig has just got this like petrified paint,
Layer
coagulation. Yeah. So I put them back in some
We
metho.
need a name for Andrew's shed. It's just like this place you come in. It's like this fantasy land. You go in and come out with stuff you didn't even know was in there.
Yeah. Oh, it's full of some. Yeah. I won't get into it. It's a massive mess. It's like a hoarder's shed. You go into like, just random bits, scraps of wood, and just like. But I'm trying to clean it. I'm trying to clean it. Yeah.
I want to see this shed one day.
Yeah.
You've got me very intrigued.
Yeah.
You should pay, there's those Facebook groups that have like, I can't remember what they're called, but they're like, wargaming room Facebooks where you just like take pictures of your wargaming room. You should, but they're all like really good ones, like with all these display cabinets everywhere. You should just do that.
I just feel like rate my plate when they've just got some really shit meal. It'd just be like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Nah, all
Yeah.
good. Mine's shorter than that, man. Mine's just basically started. Like I said last week, I was getting through the characters, and so I just did that herald that I put together the other day.
Ooh.
Wow, even that doesn't. Why does it look so different on the screen compared to my other screen? It looks really washed out on the shared screen. But anyway, yeah, that's him standing in there just in terms of sizing versus the other guys. But yeah, he came out okay. They're not, I don't know. Wasn't. Did you say something, Matt?
I said they look good.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, thanks. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good- yeah. No, they come up. They come up pretty good next to each other and stuff. Even though obviously these guys were painted, literally years ago, and well, the basing's all new, obviously, because now they're on 25s. But yeah, now I just need to get the flying necromancer done and my necrosphinx, and at least it's pretty close then. At least, like we were saying, like having what I need, pick and choose a bit until I decide to run all skeletons or something. But yeah, it's coming along. Yeah, but just with Easter and stuff, I don't really get much else done, unfortunately. I don't know, Josh or Matt. Did you want to go before Josh? Because Josh usually finishes it up. He's
I've got.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it, Matt.
Just been doing some high elf horses, actually, some old school
Ooh.
ones.
Hmm.
How old school?
They're for a mate, actually, because I'm doing a little bit of a commission for him.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It was a bad idea to say I would. But it's all right. No, they're old. Like, I don't know.
Like
probably
fourth, fifth, those
edition.
ones? Yeah.
probably
I
fourth
think
Where they got like
Right.
the teeth, like the big white teeth, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those,
yeah.
Like you can't see. the
Yeah,
word,
yeah, I
but
can see
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah,
Classic
Yep.
ones.
Yeah.
They're gold. Yeah,
yeah.
Timeless.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
just
good.
like all over the place, like Demon Prince at the moment, and finished up some Chosen, like the AOS Chosen. I put them on 30s. They look really
Oh,
good on
nice.
30s.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you were
yeah.
saying before we recorded, you obviously play a lot of Chaos.
Yeah.
So you're doing that with a lot of the AOS stuff? Because we've all, obviously everyone says, the AOS range is awesome for
Yeah.
Chaos players. Or-
Yeah. I've got, because the Chosen just didn't fit on the 25s. Like I would have put them on 25s and then just put them into the tray adapters, but they're just too big for 25s. But they look really good on 30s. But I've got some like the new Warriors on 25s that they're all right if you sort of, stick them on and then sort of, do their poses a bit differently, so you can sort of put them in.
Are
But
you
once
trying
put
to?
them in
Because
Sorry.
you're a sixth player, aren't you? So are you trying to make that decision all the time of like, oh, it's got to be compatible? or-
Well, yeah, I mean, if Old World doesn't work out, then
Yeah.
people
Yeah,
are going to
for
go
sure.
back to
Yeah.
6th and 8th edition, so I want to be able to
Yeah.
play that as well.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a fair call about putting them on 30s. Like, because you can play it in 6 anyway. Like, it's not going to stop you from using that unit in 6 ed. And if they physically don't fit on the 25s, like, you're better off just putting them on the 30s. I
yeah.
reckon.
I've got so many old school Chaos Warriors. I just thought I'll just make, so you can't get like I think they used to sell like a kit where you could get like a 2-handed weapon for the old plastic Chaos Warriors, like the ones they brought out in Storm of Chaos. That
Oh yeah.
after the Hunchback, and but you can't get them anymore. So at least I've got some Chosen that you can sort of differentiate between like warriors. Because I actually had a game yesterday with them, and they did all right.
Nice. Yeah. Have you? I don't know if it's the right time to ask you, but have you? Yeah. Have you? Obviously, you're TOing, but have you got some old world games in stuff? Then
Yeah, I've got. I think I've had 3 games now.
okay. Right. Yeah.
3 or 4 games. I've versed dwarves. I versed high elves yesterday. That was interesting. His army was interesting. It was very small but big blocks, and then the dwarf player was kind of similar. Like it had a bit of shooting and then a couple of big blocks and stuff. So I think the meta is kind of big blocks and monsters.
Yeah.
So-
That's timely for our way overdue discussion on Death Starring, which at some point we'll get a recording done. My fault. This was not here last week. Interesting.
Yeah,
Cool.
hopefully this week or so.
Yeah. That's so. Are you like you're doing that hobbying? Is that like are you building stuff out because you want like an old world particular list, or you just keep buying stuff even for 6 and making them work, or
Yeah, not really. It's more the fact that I like my chaos, so I just
Yeah.
buy stuff that I don't have. Like I've got so much stuff. I'm probably the same as you guys. You just buy stuff and just put it on the shelf, and I feel like painting that today, so
Yeah.
put it together and paint it, and then put it down, and then paint something else.
yeah, you pick it back up like 8 years later. Where did it come from? Or in
Terrible.
Andrew's case, where did those squigs come from?
Yeah, exactly. Start rattling these boxes.
3 skews.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. That's awesome. Oh, that was. So it's Josh, actually. I was going to say that's quick hobby time, but I missed Josh. So
You gotta
What have
miss
you
my
been doing?
hobby time. Man, I could get a few things done. So I painted up. Last week I was talking about my Dark Elf Noble on Cedar Slanesh. So I got him painted up. I think I've got a photo of him. Actually, I might bring him up.
Ooh.
Is that for like the Cult of Slanesh list?
Yeah, it's my
Yeah,
cult,
that's-
my cult army.
they're gnarly, those lists.
They're fun.
Charge on
They're
the
fun.
on the Seekers.
Here we go. So I can pop him up. How do you get him? Is that going to work? Oh, there we go.
yeah, that'll work. Cool.
Yeah,
nice.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
So I have actually changed up the basing a little bit on this boy too. So I actually printed off the spiky crystals and some thorny bushes at the back there. They're from Epic Basing, which I've got quite a few of their designs. I can just print those things off, and I felt like it gives the base a bit more diversity rather than just snow and the little plant.
Is it like a thorny plant, the one at the back? Is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an acacia bush, apparently, is what it was designed on. But and I've put a little bit of like icy crystals on it. You know, it probably doesn't come across in the photo really, but I tried to sort of blend it in with the iciness. The crystal, I wasn't sure exactly what color to make. I was trying to think,
good, man. It's like awesome color.
Do you think the purpliness sort of works with it?
For the listeners, it's like they're like stalagmites, I guess, or something, crystal things coming out of the ground, and they're like a real dark purple almost with that pink high edge.
Yeah.
I reckon it looks cool.
It's not too much. Like it doesn't. You know, like sometimes it's too busy. Like it fits in nice. Like it's good aesthetic.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because I was considering making them blue or orange or reddish color, but I just felt like the purple
they
might
fight
just
with
fit.
the model then a bit.
Yeah,
that's what I was worried. Yeah, that's what I was worried. Yeah, cool. No, I'm glad you guys sort of like that.
That just adds that spikiness, that danger to it too. I like.
Yeah.
These subtle, lithe type creatures. They should be friendly, but they're not. Look at them all. It's not a friendly army. Good.
Yeah, so I think I'd be if I got time one day, I might go back and add some of these bits and pieces to the ones I've done. I think as well. It'd be pretty easy to do.
Add it on everyone.
You pick off. No, not everyone. But it'd be easy enough to just take off a bit of snow, stick it on, maybe blend a bit of snow in again. It really wouldn't be too hard. But yeah. So that's that boy done. I also did a bolt thrower with crew as well. I'm trying to get a couple of things done for the following month, like just knock off some stuff. Now
are you already done then for this month?
Yeah, the Noble was the only thing because he's worth 200 points.
Yeah,
so that was literally the only guy I had to paint. So the following month I got a bolt thrower and a couple of witch elves and maybe some dark riders, I think. But yeah, I'll deal with that probably next month. I have spent some time working on my base adapters for my Bretonnians. Now that's actually taken quite a long time. It's sort of painstaking because I have to I'm sticking all these magnets on this stuff.
Yeah.
And I've got
so
a whole bunch of magnets on each one.
Magnetize on the side so they can all clip together differently for your lances. Hey?
Yeah. So it's
I'm just describing it for the listeners.
It's a good concept, It's really good.
It's a job and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. It'll be once he's done with it. It'll be going on our online store.
It's taken a long time to do, but man, when I get this done, it's going to be so much easier to do. When I'm actually playing the game.
So they'll come with the magnets. Already stuck.
Well, when I sell them, I'm not.
Yeah, that was a joke, but yeah, we
you'd sell heaps of them. No one wants to do that.
Josh makes them. We sell them.
No, you could sell the designs though. People let them.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah.
I could. I probably have to improve the design slightly if I was going to try and sell them. To be honest, but
good concept though.
Yeah. I think it could work. So the next step would be actually undercoat them and properly do all the
even
terrain
outside
stuff
of the
on
lance, though, it seems like it's going to be needed. Like if we are really flicking formations around a bit, if it becomes a strategy, you got at least in terms of line hammerish a little bit. You're just going to have ways to quickly move a lot of troops around.
Yeah. And I think it could work. I mean, the thing is, this is an adapter as well as a movement tray, So it depends. It really depends. It's very much army specific as to what type of movement tray you'd use an adapter tray. You can. Oh, I guess I was also doing this week. I have done my flat adapters that I was doing before. I have done things where that's like you can potentially move that around, and I could do other sort of bits that would bring the middle together, I suppose. But the magnets do give you a lot of flexibility in that regard. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to work on that more over the next week or so, and really get them looking proper. Finally, I have put together the scenario for the slow grow as well, and I have a screenshot of this too. I mean, this is sort of old world.
So,
Yeah.
It's in Warhammer. It's old world. What,
This is Warhammer.
What size are you up to now? What's the next month's one?
1400.
Ooh, it's getting up there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's getting to decent sized armies. So this one, I don't know if people can see it, but essentially I've adapted the old world flanking thing. So this is what I was talking about a few weeks ago, where I think it's a lot more interesting if the flanks are actually 12 inches apart rather than 24 inches apart. So it changes the dynamics of where you're putting your flanks. So essentially the deployment is from the old world book. And then I've put in 2 random special rules because the theme for this one is that last month that everyone was trying to go home, so it was a breakthrough scenario. This month sort of got lost on the way home, and you've ended up in sort of a foggy, marshy area. And the fog's a bit eerie too. So I found some fog rules from the scenario creation sort of PDF on the old 6 ed documents, where it's like each turn you roll an artillery dice and you times the result by 4, and that's how far you see through the fog.
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
So it's it's minimum of 8, but I mean if you roll 6 or more, that's still going to be like 24 inches. So it's only if you roll like low on the artillery dice. If you roll a misfire, the fog goes away for the rest of the game too. By the way,
okay.
So it's hopefully it's not too restrictive. I did put in, if you roll a 2, that it's the fog is so close that all the troops can hear like the eerie whispering of the fog, and so you get a -1 leadership debuff for that turn as well, which should be a bit random. And then I've also used some boggy ground from that document too, and that essentially means that for cavalry and chariots, after you've declared charges, you roll a dice. If you roll a 1, you're considered in difficult terrain for that turn. It's like you sort of hit a marshy sort of area, and so you're at sort of half move. I did relax that a little bit as well by saying that if you're in 3 inches or on a hill or within 3 inches of a building or a rocky terrain feature, you don't have to test for that. So it's a way of playing around that. But yeah, I feel like the line of sight sort of limits your shooting, and the boggy ground affects your cav. So sort of like this scenario does sort of, the only thing that's not really affected by it, I guess, is hand-to-hand infantry, which in 6 ed probably are the least powerful sort of unit type, to be honest. Like cav really can tend to dominate a bit. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. The victory points are the same, so I felt like those special rules and the random deployment was probably enough. I didn't need to put in any other sort of extra sort of victory conditions and such. But yeah, I'm interested to see how that one plays.
I mean, geez, you could almost, and you can take that straight into old world too. What you've done there, it's cool.
Yeah, that's one of the scenarios, completely agnostic. That one,
wasn't one of the scenarios in the old world book had a fog rule as well? Was there something on one of the actual replicating the thing, and there was a max distance one?
Oh, maybe it could be. The fog thing is something that does pop up from time to time. I don't remember that specifically though.
Yeah,
but yeah.
It was,
I considered changing it to like 2d6 times 2 or 3, but I felt, I felt like the 2 dice I think just works, and as long as most of the time it's not going to affect you too badly. But if you roll a 2 or a 4, even a 4, that's 16-inch range, so it's not going to be too bad, really. I think
that probably stops charges. 6 is probably a bit different, but those flying characters can't charge as far and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really slows that down.
Or a noble on a seat of Slanesh, 20-inch charge range. So, damn it! Why did I make this stupid scenario?
You're right. Should be rolling 2s and 4s the whole game. Is it just once per turn? Isn't it? It's not every.
At the start of
player's
each
turn.
game round, yeah. I
round,
felt,
yeah.
I think that's more equitable. I think
Yeah.
rather than having it change each player turn.
Yeah,
totally.
100%.
I was thinking about this because there is fors and against of doing it that way versus each player turn. Because the only problem with doing it each game turn is you could argue the player that has the first turn sort of has more of an opportunity to set up his movement phase and knows how far the other
knows
person
how
can
far the
see
other can
when
see,
he's
yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
Whereas the
true.
second player doesn't get the chance to react in that way.
And that goes the whole way through the game, doesn't it? Then.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't change, you know. So that's the only
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah. Well,
I think I still feel it's probably better than changing every player turn just in case someone keeps, you know, because there's always that possibility that your turn you keep rolling a 2 and the other player
Yeah.
keeks rolling like a 8 or a 6.
Yeah.
Misfire.
Damn,
Clear
this
the
dice.
fog.
Yeah, well, I mean, a misfire will clear it, but because that's the thing. If you roll a misfire, then it's gone for the rest of the game. So like, it's all okay.
Yeah,
after
but if
that.
the first person doesn't get it and then the second person gets it, then they get that advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, but yeah,
cool. Oh well,
Yeah.
that sounds good. When's that on? a couple
28th
weeks
of
too.
April. So like that'll be like three or
Few
four
Few
weeks
weeks.
away.
Yeah.
Not any time yet. Usually, I'm not so organized to get my scenario done. It's usually like a week ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Do you
I had
put
some
it on
ideas.
the Facebook group, do you, for the guys, or did you do it when they turn up to the game? Like how often?
I usually just put it in the chat. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So at least they're aware of it. So I've already put it in the chat. Although the problem with putting it in the chat is if the chat moves down, then it just disappears. And I suspect some people haven't even seen it. So maybe I should put it up in the event or something.
Yeah.
You could do a featured post if that works. But the chats. Oh, sorry, you mean the chat of the group? Yeah.
yeah, like the private chat as such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been gradually getting more players as well?
No, not really. Like, it's interestingly so. It has slowly reduced. I mean, I must admit, when the old one came out, I was expecting it to all disappear. But there's sort of a solid group of about 8 other guys that are still playing, you know, and like there was 5 turned up the last week. There was a couple of guys that couldn't make it, and then 2 other guys actually over Easter played a makeup game privately. Like I was like,
Yes, mate.
wow, that's real dedication to actually arrange the game and play it out. I mean, I think to some extent it's because there is a little ladder, you know, with some scoring. So I feel like there's a little bit of a competitive sort of
Bit of competition.
incentive to do it. It's not like the games don't mean anything necessarily.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is always a bit of a balance there with, especially with the slow guys, where if you just have a little bit of a competitive incentive, which is why I put it in. I think it does sort of just maintain that interest a little bit, you know, like everyone's like, oh, there's something on the line, you know, I've got to try to win. It's not a massive amount for winning, like the way it is. It's 2 points for turning up on the day, 2 points for playing a game, 2 points for winning, and then 2 points if you painted it up. You know, like so it's rewarding consistent attendance and hobbying as much as anything really. But sometimes you just need that little bit of incentive.
Yeah. So how many
Yeah.
more? So if it's 1,400, have you got 3 left then? Do you go to 2,000? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm going to 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be all be done by the end of July. And then once that's done, I might look at doing I do like the cadence of doing something every 4 or 5 weeks, you know. So I might look at doing old world thing. Not sure if it'd be like a full on slow grow again, or whether it would be just like a league thing, you know, where you do like 1,000-point games, you know, for a few in a row, and then 1,500-point games, and then 2K game or something like that. I don't know. I haven't. I'm not sure. I'd be open to suggestions. But it is. I'm sort of hopeful that even if the guys that are doing the slow grow, the 6 set, if they follow and do that across as well, like it's developing a core group of regular opponents, you know, that just come up to House of War every sort of 4 or 5 weeks and let's play some games, which I which is probably was my goal originally as well, just because there was nothing that was happening in Eastern Melbourne really. So if that becomes an ongoing thing, I think that'd be ideal for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Anyway, that's it. What is always my hobby time? It always takes so long.
Nah, he was good, man. Cool. Well, let's get on to one of the main topics, and that's chatting more to Matt here, Matt Morris. So again, mate, thanks for coming on. Obviously, we want to talk about your TO and your tournament pack for Shiretown Showdown, but also firstly, just before we kick that off, because we do have listeners from all over the planet, and they probably don't know you. Do you want to give us a couple of minute background on your hobby and your warhammering and how the hell you came to start deciding to TO as well? Just for our listeners.
Sure. I guess a bit of the background. I started collecting probably in the 90s when I was 15 or something, 12 or 13, and I never really played though. I just sort of painted and just liked the models and the aspect of the game, and it just looked cool for me. And but we did sort of try to play at school in the art room. Like we didn't have any terrain. We'd just be playing on the table, rolling dice. It's just so bad, but that's how we played as kids.
Yeah.
And then I sort of played sort of towards maybe like the middle of 8th or something. And then sort of once that dissolved, I played a little bit of 9th Age for a little while, and then sort of just gave up because just the whole scene had sort of died. And so I only came back to the hobby. I've been on and off painting and stuff in the hobby, but never really played. Probably 2 years ago or something like that, decided to find a group to try and play again, because I started painting and I thought, well, I'm going to try and make something of it this time and learn how to play and things like that. So I joined the 6th Ed group that we've got, mainly Sydney guys, but there's the group with Paddy and Alex and Frank and stuff, and so that was kind of a good group to start learning and start getting some games and stuff. And then just started going to tournaments, and you just start meeting people, and then
the snowball starts.
Yeah. So play it where ShyCon is basically where our club is. So I usually play there on sort of a Sunday, but there's it's open on a Friday night, and they have all sorts of other games going on there. So it's a pretty strong 6th contingent there, and Frank and Bucket usually run the 6 Ed tournaments in Sydney and stuff, and they've kind of want to kind of share it around because they want to play as well and stuff.
Yeah.
So when Old World was coming out, I just thought I'll try and do a TO for it, and I've never really done. I did a small, like I said to you guys before, I did sort of a small 8th tournament at Moab last year, and thought, that was pretty fun. I kind of liked seeing the data and seeing how people's games turned out and what the points difference was, and the winning sort of scenario, like the winning points difference and banners, all that type of data stuff. And I thought that was quite fun. So I thought, once ShyCon comes around, I'll put my hat in the ring for Old World, and here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, cool.
It's always good getting people wanting to TO, but it's much appreciated because everyone wants to play. So it's just it's such a, it's the I don't know. You find the TOs like everyone gives you a clap at the end, but I mean, Josh and Goma obviously got a bit of an insight into it. There's a lot of work goes into it. It's just, yeah,
especially a new game like this too, where people are going to be learning, or you don't even know are they going to turn up, or in Old World's case, model changes and base size, like it's a big risk. For your time, maybe not financial as such, but I appreciate it. That's awesome. How did you have a bit of a? Yes, give us a quick background of the actual Shire, like your actual size of the tournament. So it's a 2-day. Yeah, actually, I found this interesting. It's a 2-dayer, but not the standard 2-dayer. So, yeah, what was your thoughts on all that?
I was originally going to do 5 games, so I was going to do 3 games on the Saturday, and sort of I'd already written that into the player pack, and then I was sort of talking amongst the group and stuff. And from my experience, I mean, I played a game yesterday. It took 4.5 hours or something like that. Amongst the talking and stuff, obviously. Yeah. But if you're in a tournament session, I think obviously 2.5 hours is a stretch even for a 6th game. We know what we're doing with that. Yeah. So, and I like to talk a lot during my games. But yeah, I just thought I'll give 3 hours, and we've seen sort of, I think Daniel Stark, I think he did 3 games up in Brisbane, I think 3-hour games. Mm-hmm. So a few of those guys, or some of the player packs that I've looked at, they're doing 3-hour games, and I thought that's probably a pretty good idea. And there's a bit of a buffer at the lunchtime too. I'll try not to be too strict on the 3-hour mark, but sort of an extra 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, close out the turn.
Close out the turn. Yeah. Just with it being a new game, there's going to be lots of questions. There's going to be people, wanting sort of confirmation on rules and things like that. So I just thought it's probably better to just do 2 games on the Saturday and then 2 games on the Sunday at 3 hours each, and that kind of gives a bit of a spread.
Yeah, I think I'd like that. Like even Castle, I'd like that because it would go. I mean, I like playing 5 too, but I feel it would be a lot chill. And I feel like for me, I'd rather play 4 games at 2K than say 5 at 1.5. Even though there's nothing wrong with 1.5 or make smaller, but at some point
you do feel drained after 3 games.
Your brain's just. I can't believe they used to do 8 games. Like the 3-dayers. I mean, how the hell?
8 at CanCon. It was intense. That was intense. I think I did that twice.
Wow. Yeah.
It was brutal.
ShyCon used to be 3. I think ShyCon used to be 3 games. Or Moab used to be 3 days or something. But I couldn't do 3 days.
Nah, you'd be mush by the end of it.
You wouldn't want to touch the hobby for 6 months, I reckon.
Nah.
Pack it up, put it, get home, and it'd stay in the bag.
Just go home and tweak your list.
Maybe it's dangerous. Yeah.
It is actually,
Okay.
You just want to keep playing.
Yeah. Do you get over that curve, like after day 2, the first game in a day is 3, like, okay, I'm back on. This is it.
Yeah, I think it's because it's half days. Like it's 2 games the last 2 days. So it's not like. Oh no, it's a 3. No, it is 3, isn't it? So it's 3-3-2. Oh man, it is 3-3-2. It is. It is saucy. But like by the time you get home, you've sort of recovered, and then you just think, oh yeah, what do I want to run? I'm sick of playing that list because I just played 8 games in a row with his army. I want to do something else.
Oh god. No, but I hear you obviously with the new game 3, because you're right. Like it's just there's going to be, and especially the state of the game in terms of some of the, we'll get onto this probably, some of the questions and things like that that you'll probably get. It's just going to make everything run smoother, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
You're not too worried about rankings and crap, like trying to space people up and have more games and stuff.
No.
It's less of an issue.
I would imagine the structure of the game as well, just the way potentially combats can, like there's not as much troop removal going on compared to 6, quite as rapidly. I feel like even when we got the rules down pat, I suspect if the army sizes are similar, it may lend itself to being a slightly longer game, eventually anyway.
But love to find out.
Yeah. I feel like it's at 2K points though. There's so many monsters and things running around. Like the armies do seem slightly smaller. I think like they're not taking up as much space on the board. There's not as many elements. So interesting to see where the points value lie. Whether we end up going for more, just so that we've got a fuller army size as well. But then we end up with longer games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain decisions, game design decisions that, like I said, like the whole pushback mechanic and stuff, plus even just like, my old gripe of, measuring wheels and charges and stuff, all those little things add little minutes to the game when you're actually measuring stuff more and things. And I think those
Yeah.
little things probably just
Yeah.
it's not made for a really quick game, but that's fine. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So what scenarios
Even
do
just-
you? No, you're right.
Even just rolling, your armor banes and stuff like just and then you got to
The
separate your armor rolls because you've got different armor penetration of different rolls, and like it is just little things, but over 2 or 3 hours, it does add up little minutes here or there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
It will be interesting
What
to
do you
see if the magic stuff, as people get better, speed up. Because I
Yeah.
feel like the worst thing that slows, not magic's faster, but I reckon half the time it's slower because you're trying to remember. Oh, hang on, shit! I didn't cast this in
Oh, you're trying
strategy.
to-
That's like you're still trying to work that.
you need
stuff
like a
out.
checklist, like a written down checklist.
Yeah, but I think once I mean, we've only played a handful of games too, but for the people who've played 20, 30 games and they're on one list, they just smash that out. It wouldn't take
Yeah.
any time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. There's a lot less thought about it,
Yeah,
compared
so
to
these are
Six
skills
Ed.
I'm going to cast them or not.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, in
So-
theory, it shouldn't take that long.
that might speed it up a bit, but I guess we'll find out. So you went with mostly rulebook scenarios, did you, or how did that?
No, I think they're all rulebook scenarios, like just the normal sort of, they call it open battle now, not
Yeah, it's
battle line or pitch battle.
Yeah.
whatever it was. Yeah.
They always want to
It's
choose
confusing.
just for the
I think they're
state.
all pitched battles. Is that what it is? and then-
Yeah, it's
or
pitch
something.
battles, and then it goes into like this scenario, this, and
Yeah.
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 But yeah, so just went with open battle for the first game, and just to keep it nice and simple for the first game, sort of get everyone's sort of head around stuff, and then just sort of put a bit of flavour in. I always like the banner, like the breakpoint sort of scenarios,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
banners and things like that, because it kind of forces people to actually bring banners.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
you've got to think about the scenario and strategy for it and stuff. So that's why I picked that one. And then I actually quite liked the Arcane Monolith
Hmm.
when I was
Yeah.
reading it in the book, and I thought, oh, that sounds pretty fun actually, because you've got to actually get to the rune, and then you can actually have boons when you get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that'll be a pretty fun game with people sort of contesting for the mill objective.
Yeah.
And then just the fourth game's open battle again, just to sort of round off the weekend for a simple game.
Yeah. It's nice to finish on something simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Especially
the-
Castle Assault.
Yeah.
I think this arcade, this command and control one, I think you didn't see a lot of that. What was the one in? What was it called in 8th? The tower. When it was
The Watchtower.
Watchtower. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
That's in the
sometimes
book,
you
but
had it, but then if you played it for the book, it was a bit
Yeah.
too. If you were in there, it was hard to get them out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas at least this one's a bit more. It's not as
Yeah.
broken, so you're like, oh, it's fun to have. It's a bit different,
It kind of reminded
Yeah,
me
it
of the
was-
one at CanCon that you and Paddy did for the the cart, where you got to get the cart in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was fun.
yeah, yeah.
I actually
Cool.
scored the cart.
Did
you?
You got it? Cool.
Yeah, I
Which
got
one
a,
did
I
you
got a
get the
Nurgly
cart?
one. Yeah, I got a Nurgly
Oh, the
one.
Nurgly
That was
one.
my Nurgle. I took Nurgle Chaos.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool. Awesome.
So that was
oh dear, yeah.
I like
Oh,
the
yeah.
breakpoint one, like this fortitude
Yeah.
or whatever you call it. What do they call it? It's just unit strength. So you're breaking on unit strength because I think it's like you're saying, it definitely makes you think about the list or building, taking certain things which are harder to, I guess, chew through that unit strength, which is interesting. And then that other one, like Josh, that you picked on your one, what was that? The flank one. Flank attack, whatever it's called, that you did for your slow grow. That's another interesting one, where you got the side, sideboard sort of coming in from
Yes.
from a different
Yeah,
flank.
coming in from an unknown flank, and you could end up opposite. Yeah,
Yeah.
your
I just-
opponent's flank or the other side
Like
of
they're
it.
they're subtly the same as 8th, but just slightly different, but not. When I first read them, there's rule book scenarios, I was a bit like, nah, they could have done a better job, but I think they're pretty good. They're not too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, there's some potential in there, hiding in there.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the arcade monolith one, were you tempted to to make a negative effect from taking the arcane monolith, by the way? Did that cross your mind?
No, I didn't, but you make a good point, though.
I don't know, like... I'm not suggesting that you do, but it's like sometimes it's interesting to play with the players' minds a bit about do you actually want this thing or not?
Could be good, though.
I'll wait.
Is it going to zap you when you're trying to take it?
Yeah, that's actually good, actually, the zap. You know, you roll the dice. Artillery dice, if you misfire, you get D6 shots at you or something.
Yeah.
A fireball.
Yeah.
Fireball.
Yeah.
Fireball's actually pretty powerful now.
Yeah.
So,
So we still looking at having a few, what is it, half dozen spaces open for the event? Or are they filling up pretty quick?
no, I thought it would be a bit more popular, but you know, it's kind of good in a way because it's. I think we're at 13 players now, or something, 14 players.
Okay.
So obviously, if we're an odd number, then I'll play. Or if there's someone that just is around that wants to play, then you know they can play. Because I know that it'll be pretty hard to play and you know TO with a new game.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get sort of to around the 20 mark.
Yeah.
Is
But
this
again,
the tournament
it's-
that's been triple booked? Or is that a different
yeah,
weekend?
yeah,
It is. Okay. I wonder if that's...
possibly. I mean, Combat Company are doing a 1 day on the 20th, I think, on the Saturday,
Yeah.
and then what's the other one?
There's another
Can't
one.
remember. Yeah, there's another one somewhere. But
Yeah.
That's
can't remember
just
it off the top of my head.
unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah, it's just how it is.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
Because-
I mean, it is what it
Frustrating.
is.
Yeah. I mean, one
It's
of the Queensland one's up to 45. So I think
Wow.
they'll be popular. So I think you've probably just landed on, you know, it's the middle of school
Yeah.
holidays in New South Wales too. That's
Exactly.
why I can't come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's,
exactly.
the good thing is there's lots of tournaments going around. So worst
Yeah.
case, we have a few small ones, and then obviously the big ones will coalesce, and they'll,
Yeah.
you know, people move the dates around. Yeah.
The small ones
So-
are good, like the smaller size.
Yeah.
I like it. Like if it,
Yeah,
you know, anywhere between 15 or 20, I reckon that's perfect size. Like it's not,
yeah,
it's not too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot less stressful to TO as well. It's all,
yeah.
becomes
Yeah,
a
that's the
relaxing,
thing. You're gonna.
friendly weekend.
There will be a lot of questions, and
Oh,
they're
no.
not. They won't even be questions. I reckon they're going to be like, "How are we going to rule this?" that type of thing. you know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
know.
It's questions,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like,
Hmm.
and so you're going to have to make calls, I'd imagine. I guess that comes on to sort of the next topic there a bit. Maybe was
Can I charge now? I'm in marching column and I'm drilled.
like, is there any that you've prepped for? I mean, I haven't gone all down your event on Facebook or anything, so maybe you have published this somewhere. But is that something you're trying to get ahead of? I guess, are you aware of some of the frequently asked questions? Are you like getting ahead of it somehow, or what? Like, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm probably not as ahead as I should be, and it's kind of probably something that I'll have to sort of look into in the coming weeks. But I'm not really up to date on all like sort of the FAQs and stuff. Like I was saying before, like the Plague of Rust thing, that was
Yeah.
just so janky, and I'm just like, obviously it's not.
Oh, it's just awful. It's just awful.
Now I know. I think
Hard
Andrew
to
was
say,
talking
but-
about this last week. ASB's put out that, was it ASB or someone put out the FAQ on the? Is that on the Australian Facebook?
Yeah,
tournament
it's
group?
kind of like his suggested sort of Australian adoption for tournaments, just so that there was like a, you know, everyone's working off the same sort of rule set.
A consistent interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I don't know, it's one of these things. You put these suggestions in, and then there's just everybody comes
Oh,
at it with
everyone's
all,
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So you're
Everyone's
never
got
going to win. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You're never
funny
going to
because
win that one.
there's been a bunch of YouTubers and channels that have been starting to put together these FAQs if Games Workshop aren't going to bring one out soonish. And it always feels like they start with like, look, there's about 5 or 6 things we need to make a decision on, and then suddenly it just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yeah,
All these,
yeah, yeah.
Like you said, all these little things pop out of the woodwork, like the Plague of Rust one, and you're like, oh crap, okay. Oh yeah, that's another one after all, and suddenly it just gets, bigger
Just
and
because
bigger
the
and
book
bigger.
was worded really badly.
Yeah, basically.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, but yeah, I mean, maybe that's.
I did update the player pack with that, actually, like with the
Oh,
Plague
yeah?
of Rust thing. So,
Right. So
I
your rule
know
against just the armor save.
just armor save.
Yeah.
Affecting
Yeah.
walls, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a stretch.
It rusts the amulet around your neck.
Yeah.
Takes away your ward save.
Yeah. So, but I did notice there was I think because I'm on I think the one that Angus runs from Queensland, and he did put something up on there about the FAQs and stuff. So
Yeah, that's the
I
one.
noticed
yeah.
his thing for the forest was a bit different to what I've done in the player pack. I've just made everything difficult.
Yeah.
Just because it's too hard. This is 6 inches wide, so this is now dangerous terrain, and then this one's only 4 inches wide, and this is difficult.
Yeah.
It's just blanketed as difficult terrain.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
obviously,
I think that's better. And then the
small
other ones
rivers
are
and things like that will be dangerous.
Yeah, I reckon
So-
that's smarter. It's just easier. You don't have to.
There's no dangerous terrain tests for cavalry.
Yeah, I think the only thing is, I mean, in Andrew and our games, where I felt I actually like the scenery rules a bit. Like I like that idea of having a few of this difficult. Like I think you should have to deal with difficult terrain in your games.
Yeah, sure.
And so the more we can put on there, without obviously having the whole table like that, I think
Yeah.
because it just adds that extra element, especially because it's not painful. Like it's not like 6 that you just couldn't even get through a freaking forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't,
At least you can now, but it
couldn't
just
engage with it at all.
yeah, it's that variability where it could bite you in the ass when you try to charge, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, as opposed to 8th edition too, where it was just the
Yeah, it was
opposite.
just
like
open.
you just shoot straight through. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah,
It's
you
like-
didn't care.
I think they
Yeah.
tried to with the what was those things called? Like you rolled up a table,
Yeah,
like you
Missile
rolled
Wood
up
and
those.
things like that.
Yeah, no one ever
Yeah.
did it. Yeah, so that's. No, I think that's good. Yeah. So the only thing I think I brought this up before we hit record. I was listening to the latest Charmed, what's it called the Old World Charmed podcast, and it sounded like I don't know. I think they're a little bit more connected than in what they admit, but it sounded like they were saying that they think an FAQ is coming in the next couple of weeks, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that a couple of times now, but I've also heard that probably 2 weeks ago when someone said it was a couple of weeks away. So,
Yeah.
so take that with a grain of salt, but I don't know.
I actually had a dream last night
Ooh.
that GW came out and said
Don't
you
love
could
that
charge
anymore,
after if you were drilled in marching column. I literally had a dream where I was like, finally, we know.
huh? Yeah.
There we go. So if it comes out tomorrow, it'll be Josh
Yeah,
the
premonition
Prophet.
was correct. Yeah.
Josh the Prophet. From now on.
Drilled.
It'll be interesting to see how they rule a lot of these things, it's not so much like ones like that are pretty blanket. Yes, just make the decision. But some of these other weird ones, which they almost need rewording of rules a little bit or something. Like that's where it gets a bit. Well, I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to errata some stuff as well? Like I don't know.
It's kind of like the magic arc. I think they've worded it like, your spells or your troops or your enemy needs to be in your arc, but they don't need to have arc of yours or something. There's some really...
Yeah, I think skirmishes are a bit weird too when you dig into it too, like because they don't have an arc, and then there's all these other things that can play off that a bit weird. It's I don't know, but look, I mean, I love it. It's just the first edition.
Yeah.
These things are going to come out, and hopefully we just
Bit of
get
teething.
FAQs.
Yeah.
Wait, can you give me an example? Like, I'm not quite sure what you mean about the skirmisher thing.
Oh, I
The
can't.
one
It
where
was
they
an
don't have an arc.
interaction. I can't remember off the top of my head, but someone was talking about it. I went, "Oh yeah, that is weird," and I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, okay.
But it was when, oh god, it's to do with charging them, but because they don't have an arc, something wasn't. Maybe
In terms of how you
Jeez,
align
can't
to them
remember.
or something?
Yeah, and I think
or-
it was when multiple people are charging them. Jeez, I can't remember what it was, man. I'll find it out and I'll either link it in the show notes or it's getting a bit weird.
Maybe it's like if they're all coming from different angles, then how they
Yeah.
rank up, maybe, because
Yeah.
they're in different
Or something.
orientations.
Yeah, it was something
Yeah.
weird.
Probably
But
come up with Chicon.
yeah, hopefully not. But
Definitely will.
Does make me wonder when you got those, because things like skirmishes are always quite complex, and you think you just look at all the other editions you've made and go, okay, what worked, what didn't. Don't make it too much different, because
Yeah.
just open up a can of worms. But anyway, it's what it is. Cool. Well, let's transition a bit into comp as such, because that's not really FAQ related. It's more just like, obviously we're talking about composition here and whether or not we should just play out of the book or not. And for your tournament, I guess you're basically playing it out of the book.
Pretty
With
much.
the idea
yeah.
that you can you'll tell someone to resub, I guess. Is that
Yeah.
how it works?
Stop being a dick.
Pretty much.
How are the lists? Did you get? Are they mostly digital lists from the Old World Builder, or have you had random handwritten lists in Excel done, completely manually that you have to sift through and find errors for hours on end? Sorry, do I still sound bitter about CanCon?
There was a few handwritten lists for CanCon. I know there was.
90% of them.
Oh, really?
Just get mailed. I've mailed
I'm
my
misusing
list.
Army Builder. I'm misusing my Army Builder. Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
like, the new, the Old World Builder is not too bad. It's sort of getting better. It's better than writing it and stuff, but
Yeah.
obviously
You're
can't-
using new
can't be-
recruit, aren't you, though, for the tournament?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
because it's got the Old World Builder in it, though, right? Isn't it? Isn't that part of new recruit? I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just new. Well, it's new recruit.
Oh, they
New
two different
recruits.
things, are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
so new
all right.
recruits. Yeah, so
It's got
new
a builder.
recruits the builder in it, but you've
Oh,
also got
yeah.
all the tournament stuff that you're using, which is good.
Yeah, yeah. That's my first time using it, actually. I'm not even sure if I'm using it properly, but
Well, let me know. We ran CanCon on it, so if you need.
Oh, yeah,
a tip.
cool.
I mean, the tournament it went pretty good. I don't think I'm trying to think if there was anything like gotchas you got to know about. I can't remember. Josh,
Yeah,
was
no,
there?
I was surprisingly smooth.
I think the most complex thing that got us a little bit was we were using a screen on the day.
Yeah, the
to
screen
run
thing.
that screen thing, and that was. There was a few little things with that when you're trying to set up the times. I remember we were
Right.
fiddling around with the times.
Yeah, in terms of when the next round ends and stuff. And
Yeah, that was the only
man,
weird
I would not have been able to work that out. By the way, like
I don't even know if we actually worked it out properly, but it just,
We got it working.
it worked. Yeah.
I didn't even have a screen. You had the screen. Like
yeah.
if
That
it
was
hadn't been
useful,
you,
though,
there'd be no
'cause-
screen.
Probably not as bad with 20. Like if you have it under 20 at this one or whatever, it's probably not
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
bad. But,
oh, it's a good program. Like,
yeah.
like,
The best thing with New Recruit is it integrates straight with Warhol. I mean, that is just awesome to go into like virtual game, pull your list in from New Recruit and play.
yeah,
like,
that's cool.
That's cool. The Old World Builder is a bit faster. Maybe this is a whole podcast / YouTube video, but Old World Builder, they're both iterating pretty quick. Old World Builder's iterating faster, I think, just because it's not having to deal with so much legacy stuff in terms of New Recruit's based on Battle Scribe, so like it can't change how stuff works, if you know what I mean. But Old World Builder has a really nice game view mode, which I'm liking. So you can have your list up on your phone, flick it to game view, and then as you're playing, you can like kill, reduce your units or like select the victory point thing. So it's just easier at the end of the game to go, well, that's my victory points. So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I like that.
But wait, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean by game view? Like, as in, like when you're playing, you actually, you can
Yeah. So
calculate your victory points at the end of the game by just doing a checkbox.
yeah, or
thing.
even as you're going, if you really wanted
Cool.
to. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So, well, just quickly, I'll just bring that up. Not that picture. That's not the right picture. I'm sort of. Oh, where is it? Where's presenter gone? Every time I'm rolling over presenter, it's hitting the wrong screen. Just throw this up quickly. Yeah, so if you're in a list like this one, this one's just a Tomb King list, and you got this game view, and obviously on your phone it probably looks a bit better in a way because it's
it's more designed for your phone. Yeah.
yeah,
right.
but they've added victory points, so like dead, fled, less than 25.
Cool.
And I did log
that's
a
good.
suggestion, which I hope they do, is saying auto-calculate your unit strengths too, because I know you can just add up, I've got 25 troops, like 23 Tomb Guards, so
Yeah.
that's 23, but when you're on Dragon, it's different. So like,
Yeah,
if it
is
added
good.
it up and
Yeah.
put it right at the top here, you'd know straight away what your breaking point is.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So hopefully they take that on because they didn't say no. So that would be useful.
Yeah.
And then you can also, right down the bottom, you can add your captured banners in and, any scenario
Oh,
points.
that is so
Like,
good.
And then you've got your total
Really good.
victory points. So, pretty cool.
Yeah.
It'd be good if this somehow could pull or go back to new recruit, or maybe you can convert. maybe that's what I should build. A new recruit army list to old world converter and vice versa, just because it is nice to use new recruit because you're getting that tournament. Like, I reckon we need to get better and as a community and just go, okay, this thing works the best. You have to submit your army list digitally in this format to this thing, because then you guys don't have to do as much crap,
Yeah,
as
100%.
TOs. You shouldn't be looking at handwritten. That's just, come on, guys. If you're out there listening to this, use a program. That's why your life is so hard. I'll just say that. Mr. Collins, the therapist. Yeah. Just stop doing life so hard. Use tools. Yeah. Anyway, here's what it is. Don't get me started. Cool. Anyway, comp, what we were talking about before I sidetrack that. Yeah, so you're going no comp. So I guess, have you thought about what an example of something you'd ask to resubmit? Have you got a feel for that, or does it depend on who attends and that they're more likely to want badass lists, or how do you approach that?
I think I'm not I guess from building 8th edition lists and stuff, that kind of sort of stems from that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I've got obviously the basic no special characters, obviously, because no one has arcane journals at the moment, so that's pretty straightforward. And no allies or mercenaries. I just think, if I'm taking chaos or something, and then I'll just find an army that I can ally with and bring shooters or something like that. So just to sort of keep it a bit more flavorful within the army itself.
You could,
maybe.
Sorry, can I just clarify that? Can you can bring the Arcane Journal Infamy lists as an army? Is that right? Those can I bring a Mortry? Yeah, cool. Yeah, just not the special characters. Yeah, cool. Yeah. That makes sense.
So I just, for the first sort of early on tournaments, I kind of wanted, because I like data, as I was saying before with my 8th tournament, and I guess my main sort of, motivation for not having too many sort of comp rules is I want to see what does well, and then I can make comp based on sort of what needs a nerf, if that makes kind of sense. But
100%. Yep.
Nothing's been played yet, not too much anyway.
It's so early.
Yeah.
And I want to see, Andrew brings like all these Iron Wardens. Is that too powerful? So next tournament we're like, okay, well, we'll comp that, max 1 or 2 or that something. So as you're saying, like, the community needs to.
But he's got 30. He's been rebasing them all.
I'm not bringing 30. I can't afford 30.
4 dry rolls or something. So, but that's kind of the sort of the background on that. It's just I want to sort of collate that data, and then going forward for next tournaments like Moab, for instance, if I'm not running it or someone else is running it, or if I am running it, then I'd be like, okay, well, at ShyCon, this list was really powerful. It didn't lose a game. Let's see what was in there. What kind of troops did they have? And, obviously there's probably going to be a lot of behemoths and monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously there's still a bit of a comp, because you still need like 3 non-character and swarm or beasts or something like that to be within the army. So you can't just have like 2 big
You meant
dragons
like
or
3
something.
units and
Yeah.
So there's still sort of a light
So you're not
comp
even
there.
doing rule of 3, are you? Like,
No.
in terms of cool. Yeah.
I think in 2000 you kind of like, you're pretty restricted anyway. In like, I kind of like the bigger games. Like, I have a feeling that after these sort of early tournaments, we'll probably see like 2,500 points, 2,400 points type of thing, because you're really not getting much in your army list for 2,000 points anymore. Like,
It is
things are
interesting,
more
isn't it?
expensive.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, there's been one. I mean, there's probably been lots, but in terms of tournament sizes, most of them definitely are 2,000, but one of them bumped to, well, I don't know if it's run yet, but the one that Squarehammer runs or will run, Nova, so I don't know if it's run or not yet, but he bumped his to 2,500 points. But that's one of the biggest. When I say biggest, like I only know really the ones that run in the US and Australia and stuff just through YouTube. So that one's the biggest that I've seen that went to that. But like we said before, it'd be interesting if that changes as the game evolves and we get faster at it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, Andrew. What are you gonna say?
Oh yeah, well that's what I was gonna say. Like it's a bit more of a sixth feel size wise, which wasn't too bad because at least you get. I feel like you can get your games out quicker in 6th edition than what I could in 8th edition, but maybe that's because I just played more Warhammer by the time I was playing 6th, because I played 8th first and then obviously went to 6th later. But it just seemed like 6th I was finishing my games all the time, or else it wasn't uncommon for me in 8th edition tournaments to be on turn 5 every single game that finished, unless I got completely tabled or something. But,
Everything's got steadfast.
Yeah. Well, that was it.
It was a nice feeling actually finishing all the games, isn't it? Like, I agree. Same thing with me in 8th edition. It was rare to get to the end of the game in 2.5 hours in these tournaments.
Like talking it the last few out and stuff, which is a bit annoying.
It's very different now, though. Like, Old World's way different to 6th. Like, even though your army sizes are similar, it's just so more grindy now. There's so much armor saves and regens and then ward saves and no AP on things, and it's just the meta's completely different.
100%. So do you think then, you probably can't answer this yet, or maybe you don't want to, it's like, do you think you probably won't kick back a lot of lists then initially? Because obviously I think your pack, if I remember reading it, it was more around saying that make sure you've got an army that the other person gets to interact, basically. You know, like if you're just full avoidance, is that sort of the stuff you're not gonna knock back the unkillable Chaos Lord on Dragon, you're gonna knock back the stupid list that's like, okay, this person can't even get touched. Is that what you mean? Like, is that? Yeah,
pretty much. Like, you know, if I guess like a list like we've seen people, you know, doing like 8 gyrocopters or something like that, or anything that's kind of. I mean, I like battles. Like, I like to get in. That's why I play Chaos. I just like to get in and do combat. But obviously, you know, someone plays Wood Elves is not going to do that. Like, that's just how Wood Elves plays, right? Like, you're going to see Glade Guard in there. You're going to see like shooting, units in Wood Elves and things like that. Or it's just, I think people are generally people are pretty good. Like all the tournaments that I've been to, like. It's not too overpowered, and I guess, I don't know. It's hard to say at the moment. I haven't really.
I said that last week. I think it was that. I don't know if it's just. And again, I'm not a massive tournament. Like my history is very small with this stuff, but I feel like I don't know. I just feel like Australia's done. We just don't go crazy. Like if you say something like "Don't be a dick" on your pack, and we're going to resub. I think there's a lot of people who, like the majority, like play within that. Like I don't know. That's probably why we haven't had these huge comp packs come out of Australia. Like we never invented Swedish comp and stuff like that because we just maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe we just don't play that way unless you're going internationally, right? The top. But
but it's not like it's just a friendly sort of tournament. It's not a GT or anything. Obviously, if it's a GT, you're going to get people, sort of trying to do a power game list or whatever. But for a sort of a friendly tournament, I think I'm expecting people to just, submit pretty fair lists. Not obviously it says in the play pack, and obviously not a soft list. You just get trounced or whatever, but it's at least.
And you sort of like, going back to your point about like don't change too much initially. You probably want some of these harder things. You want to see some dragons. You want to see how. Do people deal with them, or do they stay? Are they alive all the time, every game? Yeah,
exactly. And again, like the player pack kind of, you still got to have a think about it because there's still the arcane monolith, you got to get into the middle, or the fortitude. So if you're just bringing one monster or something, and then big units, they're going to get broken pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, I mean, there was a good a good segue actually into comp generally, because I guess one of the things that went around, and I don't want to skew it with my bias or not, but yeah, I sort of agree that you need to see what the game plays like before you make some radical changes, and so that's been one of the biggest discussions, I think, when people started comping, and especially things like Squarehammer's Nova. I think there was a bit of this is weeks ago now, there was a bit of a, not blow up, but again, you get these debates where someone puts something out on Facebook and then everyone comments and then they go back and forth. Not bad. It was just like, well, this is the type of tournament I'll run. And then other people saying what you just said, like, well, why are we making changes? Every time, well, if we make too many changes, then the data doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, where do you guys sit? Like, I mean, obviously Matt agrees with that. Where do you guys sit, Josh and Andrew? Like, do you want to see all these uncomped ones for 6 more months, or like what? We haven't even played the tournament yet, so
I'm happy for people to start doing what they feel like. If people are running tournaments, like, it's their prerogative to run it how they think is going to create the best, feeling event, I suppose. And I feel like in the case of the Anzac Cup, like a lot of the stuff that he's done, it's like you just get the sense that he's coming from having played a lot of 6ed, and he kind of wants to try to maintain that feeling. I think, especially the limit on the characters, which I felt was interesting. I wasn't expecting.
That wasn't the one I was talking about, but yes, we can talk about the Anzac Cup one.
So which one are you talking about?
Just so it doesn't get. Oh, I was talking about Nova, which was Square Hammered ones, which was done a month ago. But the one that's come up recently in Australia, you're right, is Anzac Cup having some comp. That's a 1,500
I completely misunderstood what you were talking about.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was talking about Nova's one, which went to 2,500 points, caused a bit of a schmozzle. And I won't say schmozzle, but, like, again, whenever you do comp, this is why we're talking about it, is people have opinions about it.
The controversy.
So that was one example. But then, obviously, in Australia, we've had one with I don't know if it was over the weekend or not, but Anzac Cup sort of, did they change? Did Ben change that, or it sounded more like they were just prepping for it, and they eventually decided on the comp. Even admittedly, from his point, that may be a bit later than he would have liked, but he's new. This is the first one they're running, type thing.
Yeah, I think he hadn't published the comp until that point, and I'm not sure if he had changed it or not, or if he just hadn't published it. But it was well after people. Like, it was only a few weeks before the event. Not enough time for people to really change what they were hobbying. Like, it is relatively short notice, and I think that did contribute a little bit to the ill feeling, I think.
Yeah, and it's probably less then to do with the comp and more to do with just the timing, which, again, I'll side with you, Josh, there, where it's like at the end of the day, everyone's just trying to do their best, especially TO. They're not out to try and make a shit experience for the players.
Yeah.
They just...
Yeah.
I think people have to remember that. Yeah.
I mean, some elements are like, there's more restrictions than you'd necessarily expect, maybe at this point. But I don't know. I especially when they're only 1,500 point games, I feel like they're largely reasonable. Like, I feel like having 2 level 4s in a 1,500 point army is
Yeah, we'll run through that with the Anzac Cup, for example, Josh, just so the listeners get it. Like, that's what they got for a 1,500 pointer.
Yeah, so what is it? So there is the rule of 3 in this one.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah, which is fair enough. And then there's a limit of 500 points on characters, which is essentially a third, 33% of the army, rather than 50%. There's also no more than 1 Lord level wizard, either 3 or 4, level 3 or 4 in the army. And no item that makes a level 4 and level 5 may be taken, and no more than 6 spells in total per army. I think that was it, wasn't it? Yeah. So, some pretty restrictive stuff going on.
So
I'm not sure.
5 is that Zinch?
Yeah, I was wondering
yeah.
that. I'm not sure what the significance of that is, to be quite honest, because I didn't realize there could be something that take you level 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, essentially.
Don't
it's
you
each
have one
makes
in the
one.
vamps, Andrew? Or does that just take you up?
Nah, because I'm
Or an
only it's
extra
only
spell or
level.
something?
It's a level 2 to a level 3.
Ah, okay. Right, yes, it's not.
Yeah, because the vamp only gets level 2. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
but yeah, no, I didn't realize the Zench can go. So you get the extra.
But they need to be bunkered down though, so they'd
Yeah,
need to be in a unit strength 10 Zinch unit. But if they are, then they get +1 to their casting. So
Yeah,
essentially, you'd be a level 5.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, well,
Oh,
yeah. Well, there is a
right.
lot that add +1 to cast. Does that mean that, or does that mean like you have 5
Yeah,
spells?
Yeah, is it actually a full level upgrade, or is it just
Dunno.
+1 to cast when you're casting?
I don't know. Nah, but I mean, yeah. That's the thing.
And
I
then,
think
like,
we're
a
gonna
spell from
the three cap's interesting because Games Workshop did it at their own event, and that was a 1500 pointer. So it's sort of like at some point, maybe it's a required thing. I don't know.
I
Guess
think
we'll
because
find
they
out.
published that's why I think that's kind of fair because that was sort of, I think that's a bit on the cards just because that was their rule. So like for me, it's like, well, that shouldn't be anything too new. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's
And
pretty fair.
it only disadvantages. I'm losing my voice. It only disadvantages some of those armies that have a lot of units in one entry.
Yeah,
Like the classic one is people talk about the orc mob, but how many how many orc mobs you bring in? I don't know. I guess if you're running savages and normal ones and then big uns, it all guess you can't do all that. I guess.
yeah. I wonder how that's going to work with fanatics as well because I don't know. Apparently, there's these fanatic armies getting around that are just
Yeah.
yeah. So that
Yeah,
might
well, in a
tame
rule
that a
of
bit as
3,
well.
you could still take 9 then, I guess, because technically you could bring
but
3
that's-
Night Goblin
Yeah,
units.
that's all right.
How many fanatics can you put in there? Like 3 or something?
3 each, yeah. So
Yeah.
Probably goes to
9
9.
fanatics just going down the board.
Oh my god!
It's great. Love to see it.
Yeah, it could be worse. I've heard about people talking about just I don't know what the maths was, but I'm sure somebody will let us know in the comments about that the maximum number, basically just having like a Night Goblin and army, just all goblins and fanatics, just because they're pretty good rules with the fanatics now. It's not
Yeah, you
like
can't kill them, really,
Yeah.
can you?
not like 8th edition. They do a bit of
Yeah.
damage. Yeah, but
I guess the other thing to sort of devil's advocate on the data bit too, I was thinking like, how accurate do you reckon our old world data will be anyway? Like in terms of when you compare it to the other games, 'cause I really think they are trying to do a pretty good job with AOS and 40k, and like that, meta watch stuff they do, but obviously, at least definitely 40k and AOS, I guess too, is there's just so many games, that you can look at it. And the game and the army lists are actually, well, especially 40k 10th edition, they're a little bit easier because there's no options, like you're just buying a unit. Maybe there's an extra unit upgrade, but that's it. Like there's less variety. Whereas, fantasy's always been so flexible that at some point, I don't know, like what data are we actually collecting and who's collecting it? So then therefore you could argue, well, it's good to know the data, but it's useless anyway because there's no one's collecting it anyway properly, if you know what I mean. Like, is that a valid rebuttal of that whole data argument? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that's a pretty good idea. Like, what Matt was saying at the start. I mean, worst comes to worst, if people might come to these tournaments and then they leave and they're like, oh, this one guy dominated it with his like. It's only a single tournament. Like, it's not. This hasn't been going on for years. Like, I mean, if I leave and get spanked by somebody with a, Chaos Dragon with his 2-up, bloody 5-up, 5-up, it's just like, oh well. And I can't see 13 people bringing Chaos armies just to get this Chaos Dragon. Like, it's you're still going to see this broad range of
And you've got a
armies.
broad range of new players, people coming
Yeah.
back from the hobby who can't play. Like it almost like if you had enough games like you do with the 40Ks and stuff, you can just look at the top echelon. You know, you could look at
Yeah.
the old ETC and what they did. Okay, yeah, that's overpowered because all the best players are using it. But
Yeah.
sometimes I wonder where we're at Old World that half the stuff's crap
Could
anyway.
be 12.
because,
We know
you
Andrew's taking dwarves, so it could be
Yeah,
12.
yeah. And I guess how much weight do you guys put behind, like, yes, Old World's new, but it also isn't, it is Warhammer Fantasy 9th
Yeah.
edition in a way. And we know the things we comped in 8th. We know the things that were probably comped in 6th. So is it that unreasonable that people get out ahead of it anyway? Do you know what I mean? Like, and go, oh, well, look, this is just going to be sort of probably more what Josh said. Like, if it's my event and I'm running it, I'm just doing the best I can to make sure it's enjoyable and stuff doesn't get out of control. And sometimes you won't make the best decisions, but, maybe that's valid as well. Like, it's not like we're brand new to the whole wargaming in Warhammer world,
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's it. I mean, you're doing the work, so to me, it's like it's your house, your rules, isn't it? Like some people are getting quite upset over things. I understand, like it might be frustrating if you've spent time and hobby, collecting, getting ready for your tournament, and then things change. But that's the thing.
There's a
Have
problem.
people had to drastically change their army, or are people just complaining for the sake of complaining?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
I
it's
don't
just,
know.
it's probably more the latter. Like, and I'm not saying
Yeah,
they're complaining in a negative
probably.
way in the sense that they don't have a valid point, but I feel like, everyone just needs. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to really prolificate the arguments either because I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that bad, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, it's early days, right? I'm sort of hopeful that people, understand that TOs are doing the best they can. They can run events you don't have to attend, but at the same time, maybe just attend anyway. Like, just who cares if you can't take everything? Just play it. It wasn't even here last year, like, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Nova comp is similar in terms of the character restriction. Looking at the list you got there, like it's 35% characters. Like it's the 50% character limit really does open up a lot of windows for abuse. Unfortunately,
Yes. No, I think that's the thing. There's once you get past this whole comp thing, I think that we do need or don't need comp. Then the next step is, well, what's the minimum that you can do just to sort of address some of those issues? Because
it's interesting. Like with the anti-cup one, because only 1,500 points, and then your character limit is 500. Like if that was 50%, there'd be space for a Chaos Dragon.
yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think
1,500
that's
point
why they
army.
went, no, that's not right. And that's even worse then because you've got nothing that can do
nothing.
Nothing. Nothing.
Except my own Chaos Lord Dragon.
Yeah.
Everyone brings a Chaos Lord Dragon.
Some of the special things in Chaos could probably take it, though. I mean, a Chimera is only 250 points or something, or fully kitted out, so you take 2 of those. You probably both charge them into the Chaos Dragon.
Has that got? Do they have Monster Slayer or they don't? They're just good
Nah.
fighters?
Just unfortunately not Necro Sphinx, but
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No,
we'll
I
see.
think.
I mean,
Oh yeah, like this is the thing. Like it's exciting to see. Just I don't know. Maybe it breaks your hobby for the weekend if you come up against it. But it is interesting to see what people can bring out and how quick or bad those lists are because you sort of need to see it because otherwise everyone's just math hammering, aren't they? Like doing it on paper. Yeah.
I mean, if we're doing GTs at like some stage, like late this year or early next year, then obviously we will need comp. But I think it's good to sort of get that type of data from the non-GT tournaments to say, okay, well, let's implement this for GT, so then we're not getting too many power gamers coming to these events just to try and climb the ladder.
Yeah.
That's good. The interesting
I
thing we were
hope they
saying
allow
before about
mercenaries at some point. That's all.
how
Not
the
allies.
interesting thing you're
just mercenaries.
saying about the
Sorry.
difference between the 6th and 8th comp and what we're looking at in the old world. From the tournaments that we were doing last year or so with Six Ed, there really wasn't much comp happening.
Oh,
by the way.
no, there wasn't.
It was pretty much open slather. There was like one or two things you were like, look, hold off a bit on that. But, there really wasn't much adjustment at all.
It'd be interesting. Well, were you playing in tournaments when Six was big, Josh? Like initially?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay. Yeah.
No,
I just remember reading, how like there's
8 into 6, yeah.
Yeah.
8 had a
there's
lot of
few-
comp. The old Swedish
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah, Swedish and that other one. What was it?
Highlander.
Was it? That what it was called?
Highlander.
I don't remember.
Highlander's like you have to take
I don't
one of
remember.
each. You can't take more than one of each unit, and then there's like restrictions. Like you get minus points for. So you have a comp score.
Yeah.
So
Little
you'll
bit
start
like
at 0 or whatever.
Swedish then.
But
Yeah,
then if you're
okay.
taking like some of the smaller units, you get plus 1
right.
point. But if you take some of the stronger units, you get minus 1 point. So
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I just remember seeing, like, for example, a Tomb King one, there was stuff out on the tactics forums and stuff where they were saying, like, you can't bring 2 Scream Skull catapults. It's just comped out. But I don't know if that meant, there was restrictions in comp that stopped you doing it, or it was more like what you're doing, Matt, where it's just like, if you put that in, they'll decide you to resubmit it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
two
Like,
two
people
kings
who-
are empowered at the moment. So yeah, I'll be looking closely
Yeah.
at those TKs.
But that was 6, so I don't know about that, but yeah.
Oh, they're pretty awesome and all. I'll tell you.
Just because of that panic, you just hit 2 of them and
Yeah.
minus 1 to your leadership and panic and can't re-roll it in 6. Off you go. Yeah.
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 So, yeah, and plus double shots too. That was the worst. That's 4 Screaming Skull shot, like per shoot, like per turn, if in 6.
As a
with
no
magic.
player, I hated those things.
Yeah. So, yeah, crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you about that mercenaries and allies, by the way, what you were saying before. I do hope they
allow mercenaries and don't.
Yeah.
allow
to allow
allies, is that
them,
what you mean?
hopefully.
or both.
Yeah. I'd like to see them in there eventually. I mean, I agree about not including them, early on, because you just don't see, not sure what effect they're going to have, and you're just trying to work everything out. But hopefully it transpires that they don't unbalance the game overly, just with the minor negative rules that you get for taking, especially allies, and the list
Yeah,
restrictions
true.
you take with allies,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. Hopefully that does become an accepted part of even the tournament scene. We'll see.
It'd be
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
to see what it does. Like, again, going back to this whole thing, it'd be interesting especially once everyone's got arcane journals and stuff. If you can run a few of them, that's just totally like allowing all that, so we can actually see what it does. Because it does feel like, as everyone says, let's just play it out of the book, but then no one ever does, because then they do always say no allies, no mercenaries. And it's like that's in the book. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see.
It's probably just early days, like you said. Once everybody gets their arcane journals, it'll probably be a lot more even for us at the moment. It just seems like because they're not out, some people got access to different things and other people don't. So
That's
It's
and
just-
again, that's one of the things I've always been a bit sad about with special characters, that they always, because I've never trying to think if I think I did play an 8th that allowed it, unless I'm getting confused with 9th. Did 9th ever have named characters?
No.
No, it must have been 8th then, because I remember taking Morglum Neck Snapper to something. So I don't know if there was a game or a good games that you're allowed to do it. I can't remember.
You snap any necks.
No, probably not. He probably died straight away. But
You should have taken something to CanCon.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I was originally thinking about Cetra, and then I couldn't because he counts for that. I think it was that. Does he's an extra Lord choice or something? I can't. There was something with 6 and Cetra. Can't remember.
Was it? Okay, so you couldn't get him in there.
Or I couldn't have
it's
that
too
and
low
the
choices.
casket thing or whatever it was. I can't remember. I was like, oh damn it, because that would have been fun. But yeah, the only downside to allowing characters in this game is A, not everyone has them yet, and then B, even when they do, none of the legacy armies would have them, at least in this edition. And so are we just resigned to the fact that now we may never see special characters in old world tournaments? Like that's only the sad thing. I think because 40K's just always allowed them, pretty much, haven't they? It always seems like fantasy hasn't. Just in general.
Yeah, not sure.
Yeah.
Not
Cedric
qualified
does
to answer
take-
that.
2 Lord choices. What?
Is that in sixth? Did you just look that
In
up?
6 said.
Josh is
Yeah,
up.
I was
Yeah,
interested.
yeah.
Sorry, I was
Nah,
distracted.
yeah. I think it was something. I can't remember which way it was, but
There's
yes. he
2
took
Lord
something
choices.
different.
No
I was
wonder you
like,
couldn't
oh,
take him. Oh my god.
He's going to
Because
dream
you can only
about
have
that.
one in 2000. Is that what
In
it was?
2000, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it was. Yeah.
That's
Because
funny.
originally I went, oh, that'd be fun, but no.
Yeah.
Only to get the model painted. It was more for that, just to get it done.
Yeah, yeah.
Did the guy who
Um,
won CanCon, did he have a special character? It was Wood Elves, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Drycha
Oh,
list.
Drycha, yeah. Oh, there was a couple
Yeah.
of Drycha lists, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a couple of Drycha lists.
Mm.
There was an Archaon who got a Trebuchet
Oh,
on his
yeah,
head.
that's right. Yeah. I saw that list. I'm like, whoa, that was a big Archaon.
Yeah, I think that was it. There was 2 Drychas, and then I
Yeah.
think that was all the special characters. Yeah, but yeah, it was nice to see a few of them around. You
Yeah,
never
that's
see
cool.
Mm.
The other thing worth pointing out too, just on comp there, is like Adepticon that just ran, which had I don't know how many players, 60 something, which is obviously a B1 GW were there and stuff. They didn't have a lot of comp, did they? Is that right? Have got
I don't think so.
this
And did you see the
doc
2 lists that won that?
Dragons.
Well,
High
not
Elf,
one. Yeah, Dragons.
Dragon and a
Just
Chaos
dragons.
Dragon.
I think
Was it
it was a
Nurgle?
high elf double dragon list.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
Wow.
yeah,
It had a
Double
level
dragon.
4 on a dragon and a lord on dragon.
yeah.
Nice.
Awful. And then the chaos dragon was the other one. Both of them undefeated.
Yeah, yeah.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, we know they're gonna have to do something, but I mean, have some fun until then, I guess. Until it gets comped.
As long as you don't put your dragon near the edge of the board and have it give ground, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Learned that one, even though I knew about that too.
Yeah.
But they are trickier to, like I've said in our monster slaying thing, they're trickier to maneuver too. So
Yeah, they are.
You really have to watch them, that they're not getting away with stuff that they're not supposed to be able to get away with. So, which I think will happen in the first few tournaments, especially if you're a new
Oh,
player.
yeah.
Yeah. And you're like
Yeah,
playing
because you
against
used to
someone.
flies being skirmishes or something, so you just move them and then give them a little free 180 pip
Yeah.
on their
Yeah.
hand. But you
Yeah.
can't do
Whoa, 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 whoa,
it. Hang on,
whoa.
champ.
Unless you happen to be a bloody on a Pegasus. But yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. Pegasus shoot everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently you're going to try to measure the wheels midair while the thing's flying around. I don't know.
Have you guys? Is there any comp that you like? Obviously, just forget Matt that you're also doing this one, but like, is there any ideas of comp that you're leaning towards, like that you think we will settle into, or is it just way too early and you're just ignoring it? And that's for Andrew or Josh too. Question, but like,
I guess it depends on the point size, but I guess probably like Lord allocation, point allocation, but rule of 3 I think is pretty good. So, you know, Orc players won't be able to take their Black Orc mobs, but, which I thought would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think, I don't know, it's hard to say really at this time, but those
Yeah,
are
'cause
sort of the two.
it seems like there's. Because I guess Games Workshop could, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Games Workshop are going to be in charge of comping anything. But if they're going to do some erratas so we didn't have to comp, do you think we're going to see point changes for Old World? And did any of you guys play Heresy too? Like, did they ever change points for Heresy too?
No, I never played it.
Yeah.
I think if they errata stuff, I suspect it'd be a reduction in the bonuses from the dragon mount, wouldn't it? And it'd be
Yeah.
more
I don't know,
likely
that's-
than a point change.
Yeah.
Because even if they're 100 points more expensive, it's still the dynamic of them. It's why they're so resilient. That's the problem more so than anything. It's their point cost necessarily.
Yeah. 100%.
Because you got the points limits, you got the points, you got the actual category limit that you just talked about, Matt, and then you got actually changing rules. I don't know which lever I'd prefer or not, you know. Like, and I hope they don't like change 3 different things at once and then go, oh shit, now
Yeah.
we've like totally
Yeah.
stepped it the wrong direction.
Yeah, you
And
don't want
that's
that.
you know,
That's the thing. You still want dragons to be viable. Like, it's not like saying that
Absolutely.
they're
Yeah.
Yeah.
you shouldn't be taking them. We'd love to see them. But
People
yeah,
are always
there
going
is-
to find like the highest possible point they can get to with any of the restrictions that they put in. Like if you're not
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
a dragon, okay, well we'll take a manticore, a lord on a manticore now, and how much can I load him out to be like killable? Like people are always going to find that sort of
Yeah.
the upper echelon of
Yeah.
like how far they can take their list.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
about making sure that upper echelon is like not so much higher than the rest of it. I suppose right now I
Yeah.
feel like the dragons are like right up
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
Because it's the ideally you sort of have a balance within a certain band of the power level within the rest of the army book and between army books. You don't want to be like regimentedly like you're never going to get perfect balance across everything.
no.
But yeah, there's a certain sort of level that you sort of would like to see, I suppose, and without it, you just end up with lots of individual comps, which is what we're already seeing. And the game's only been out for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more comp for this than I've ever seen for 8th or 6th or anything.
Yeah. That's I just don't know if that's just like we think we know. So yeah, like if this game was released back in 2010, and that was, you know, would you not see as much because the internet's not around as much, like to this level, and that's the thing. I don't know
Maybe.
how to read the variability of all these comps at the moment. And I'm not against people who. I'm going to go to your tournament whether or not you put comp on it or not. That doesn't bother me. It's just interesting to watch. It's interesting to watch the level of opinion either way that people just can't understand.
The excitement it
It's
generates.
fine either way, guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a toy soldier game. Yeah.
I think if
Yeah.
they separate the profiles on the dragon and the rider again, I think that would be maybe
So
a
that'd
step in
be
the
a
right
huge
direction.
rule change.
That'd be a
eh?
big one. Yeah.
Well, now it's
Yeah.
kind of in
But-
line with 8th and 6th, right? Like
Yeah.
a dragon in 6 wasn't like really OP. You had stuff that could deal with it.
The only
War
thing
machines and
is,
stuff
I mean,
like
they
that.
can't do this, but if there was more scenery, like if it wasn't so much a victory point game that you're trying to kill things as such, then maybe you can comp these things out just through scenarios. You know, that it's just you can take a dragon, but the chances are you're never going to win all 5 games in a tournament
Yeah.
with a specced out dragon because you can't compete. Whatever, you know,
'Cause you can't take the
scenario 1 or 2.
the objective or whatever. Or
Yeah.
dragons aren't allowed to pick up carts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we should do this one day and go through what. I mean, I don't know. So on one hand, I was like, maybe we should go through and look at, you know, for example, ASB's FAQ thing on some of his, rulings on some of those things, because some of them fed into that a little bit in terms of, you know, like the magic, especially for the armored, whatever it is, ages or whatever it is on the Tomb Kings, where, you know, you can't take, if you're taking magic armor, you have to use the magic armor armor save that comes on that item. You can't choose to use the mounts for that and the ward for something else, that type of thing. Those things potentially comped some of that stuff a little bit, even though it's more of an FAQ. But we might see that come out of Games Workshop, you know, with the FAQ, and then suddenly that, I don't know what it does for the Chaos Dragons, but first, specifically for the Tomb King one, it would make it slightly more killable.
Yeah.
Not hugely,
Yeah.
but slightly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's another approach, isn't it? Is just on a case-by-case basis, working out what elements of each dragon build are causing them to get so powerful, and if you can just tweak
Yeah.
it back slightly without causing, you know, without doing a broad-based change, you might be able to bring him back into line a little bit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe this is too much of a rule change, but like if you just joined regen and ward back, you know, where you only get to do one blanket, would that comp out other stuff that currently gets a benefit
Problem
of
is
that. I
some
don't know.
people's regens is affected by magical like attacks, and then some ward saves like are affected
Wouldn't
by
be
like
then.
it's
yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much-
Yeah, yeah.
There's so many different
Maybe.
armor saves, and they're affected by all these different things, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a lot of bloat in there now.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
complex
I feel like-
beast.
yeah. The simplest change would be cutting the number of wounds back, or even the toughness by a pip. You know, just like it's because it's the combination of all of it together. You know, all those saves and everything, but the number of wounds means you have to do so much work to get anywhere.
Cannon can't even kill it now.
Yeah, yeah.
The cannons are
As soon
so
as you
shit.
ratchet it back, though, the next thing comes up. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like
I know.
chariot, like character chariots are just going to be so like they're awesome. The only reason you don't see
Yeah.
them everywhere is because the dude can go on a dragon. But
Yeah.
the fact
Yeah.
that chariots are just like immune to monster slaying and killing blow and
Bit of that
but,
going
yeah,
I mean, that's a
they've
big
got
rules
Senate.
hole anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't be.
Yeah, they're like you'd imagine if dragons weren't viable, every general in BSB would be running around on a chariot, probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. No, that's a very good point.
so
So many heads on this monster.
Yeah.
got to bring your own
Next one
chariots
just
and
pops
your own
up.
dragons. Yeah. That's hard. And look, you're never going to balance it all. That's the fun part of it all.
Mm.
But
Nah.
yeah, I guess
Yeah,
we'll find
and there
out.
are counters, you know, in different lists, and sometimes it is a matter of waiting for the meter to play out a little bit as well. You know, because like, you know, certain lists can deal with monsters quite well. I feel like the I think the Brits have got some good tools to deal with it. Like Beastmen do as well. And if they're actually geared towards dealing with those tougher matchups, and that does, you know, put pressure on that meter, I suppose. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and things
I
can
saw somewhere
dynamically evolve.
because I think
Yeah.
you're right. Like Beastmen, particularly, have got some good counters to it. But I saw some stat. I can't remember. It might have been off one of those meta watching things that like Beastmen are like one of the least played.
Oh yeah.
It might not
Right.
be true. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to see where I read that. I was just trying to find
And
it.
you
But,
give them
It
marks
wouldn't
in case-
surprise me.
yeah, because they were so bad at eighth.
They're awful
I
in
wonder if
eighth
just
ed.
people just didn't have
Yeah.
armies, and even though
Yeah,
the models are still there, everything's sold out. So maybe they're just people are not running them. You know.
Yeah.
Even the 6th ed, did not see many Beasts of Chaos lists. I think there was one in K-Club, but
Yeah, I played him.
yeah.
He was a Slanish beastman.
Oh, it was yours. Oh, yeah. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
not mine. I played against.
Oh, you played him. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
played him
Yeah.
the cart game actually.
Oh, that's who you played him. Yeah, yeah. The Slanesh guy. Yeah, I think he actually did manage to kill Archaon as well.
Yeah, Nick Taylor.
It took half his army to do it, but he managed.
You got him. That's a victory in itself.
Oh, is there anything else you guys want to cover with comp, or I mean, we weren't really too specific. We were just getting some of our views out. But yeah,
No, that was just a big ramble, wasn't it? Just
yeah. Well, I think
completely
yeah,
unstructured.
I don't think there's much.
It's sort of one of the as the tournaments are just kicking off now. It just seems like it's sort of like exploded, like you said, and everyone's doing bits and pieces all over the shop. It's not. Doesn't seem like it's a joint effort. But yeah, it's early days, so it's just. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, I think Matt's pretty much on the money. Just let it play out, unless somebody's bringing something stupid. Just find out, you know.
And
what
it'll
the
settle
go
down
is.
as soon as either a couple of other FAQs come out, which obviously probably help a little bit because some of the crazy builds, or like the spectral doppelganger might get that might get changed. With the some of these magic items that combo with it or shouldn't combo with it. Like some of these things might wash out, and then I feel like once you get now, I don't know if GW is going to do this or not, because hopefully not in a way, but when you get that international tournament scene happening again for this game, like when that season kicks off and the first one happens, I reckon that's where it starts settling down, because whatever they do, so many of the tournaments around the world will just go, okay, well, we'll align mostly with that one anyway, and then it starts settling in, maybe. I mean, like there wasn't
Yeah.
heaps of comps in 8th. There was a couple, and they evolved over the life of 8th, but, they were sort of doing what they needed for ETC or whatever,
Yeah.
So guess we'll
It'll be
find out.
interesting to see with these Arcane Journal releases if the rule sets in them try and change the meta as well. So you put more counters in. Because
Yeah.
like Josh was saying, like you got Bretonnians and Beastmen have got counters for monsters and per se chariots and things. What happens if more Arcane Journals start putting those sorts of counters in? It's going to be
Yeah.
a lot less viable to be taking, per se, the unkillable dragons as such.
Yeah. Yeah, no, potentially.
Once
Yeah.
they become killable, it's like a waste of points.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't want to see them disappear either. So it's just like,
No,
it's just
Yeah,
No,
it's a
yeah.
fine tuning.
Fine.
Don't want to see
yeah.
them disappear. Yeah.
Nah. Yeah.
Ah, cool. Well, might wrap it up soon. Matt, is there anything you want to cover with Chi-Town? Maybe just like, just a quick, when is it? How many places you got open? Where do they go to actually find out about it? That type of stuff.
Yep. So it's max 50 players. I don't think we're going to get close to that, but it's wishful thinking. And it's on the 20 and 21st of April, 2024. It's at the Sylvania Youth Club, I think it's called.
Mhm.
Don't quote me on that, but it's the same place as Moab. So, yeah, I'll probably start about 8:30 on the Saturday and then run for a few games. And then, yeah.
Cool. So they just go to the Moab site. I'll add all that on there. Or have you got
Yeah,
your own
there's
site?
a,
Is it the Moab site or is it-
No,
is it
there's
Chi-Town?
a... Yeah, I think it might be Sutherland Shire.
Oh, okay.
It's
That one.
the gaming club page, I think it is.
Okay, cool.
But I
make
put
sure
it
add
all,
the right
the
one.
events up on some of the Facebook groups and stuff. So
Yeah, cool.
go
Yeah, well,
there.
if you're on the fence, guys, and you haven't gone to the other ones that have double booked in Sydney on that time, jump on it. And if you need to, obviously Matt's around if you need questions and stuff. When's list supposed to be in?
I did say this week for the
Little
5th,
extension,
but-
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent out an email today just to extend till the 12th because we've got less people, so less lists for me to go through. So give
Yeah.
everyone an extra week to get a bit more math hammer going and get that.
Cool.
Scheme a bit more, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Maybe reach out
Yeah,
to
everyone
me,
knows
Andrew, if
going
you want
to
to
Wolves.
warhaul some test games over the next couple of weeks. Then, yeah, that sounds good.
Are you
Awesome.
going to put the
Well,
lists up publicly once they're all
Yeah.
submitted? Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Nice.
It's always fun. Although I'm not good at, I look at lists and then I go, I
Yeah.
don't know what this does. Unless it's an army I play.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah,
I usually
gotta
look
get
at them and
better
go,
at
"Oh damn, I should have taken that."
yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's got a better list than you. Just like,
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Cool. Does anyone want to bring anything else up on this episode, or are we good to close out the show?
I do have one other thing to bring up, but it's not Warhammer related.
Go for it.
I had a random comment. I felt there was a comment on the YouTube, although it seemed to disappear. Someone
Is
was
this about the
asking about,
6 legs.
huh?
Is this about your vet?
No,
Oh, another
this
one.
is,
Okay.
well, sort of. This is about square wombat poo.
Oh. Okay.
Which is a thing, obviously. Wombats do pay
Yeah.
square. It wasn't well understood for many years, but I think a couple of years ago they finally worked it out. They dissected some wombat intestines and they found there was areas of the circumference of the intestine that were quite stiff, like and relatively thicker than other areas that were quite soft. And they actually did some mathematical models, which they worked out that the stiffer areas actually contract more like rigidly, and then the softer areas contract a bit more slowly. And the way that works, it slowly molds the poop into a square,
Into a square.
because of those different contractions. It's not just like a one
Yeah.
normal tube, but the whole thing is squeezing.
That is
There you go.
bizarre.
I've
The
learned
whole
something.
reason for the square is not well known, but they do do it. They think it might be a territorial thing. They like to poo on logs and stones and stuff, so maybe someone doesn't just roll off the stone. But yeah, there you go. There
Yeah,
you
it's
go,
almost
guys.
like not a sexual selection type thing, but something like that, like in terms of evolutionary, like behavior, but not not survival. Yeah, it's interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. It's always we should have put that at the beginning in your vet section. We'll
Oh, well, that
remember it
section.
next time.
Yeah, no,
I just
this is
remember
a,
there was a
nice little
comment
hidden thing at the end.
somewhere about talking about some legs and they had timestamp. I didn't read it because I was skimming on my phone. I was like, oh, someone commented about our.
Oh, that was a funny one too. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
like, they started off the comment with like, oh, there are dragons in the world.
Yeah.
There's the Draco, the lizard thing with the ribs, and then like timestamp 2 minutes saying, oh, right, you know about
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that made me laugh. That was funny. Yeah, and then there was something else where you were made a joke about lice, I think, wasn't it? That they have got 6 legs and no wings. What was that?
Yeah, yes. I was just wondering if they evolved from something like that, because then that way 2 of their legs turned into the wings, you know. So they still have 4
Oh,
legs.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was saying. Like,
guess
what
so, yeah,
insects?
right.
So are they related to insects in some sense, or I don't know? Is lice insects? I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah, lice are insects.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you get
yeah.
some insect. I was just googling for is some insects don't have wings, because if they've got 6 legs, then obviously they can turn 2 of them into wings, and that's where dragons come from. Back in the
Yeah.
old world.
Yeah, true.
Uh,
I mean,
no
thought-
such thing as magic.
insects are completely different evolutionary chain. They have an exoskeleton, they're not vertebral.
They're not breathing fire out of their lungs. No.
And their limb function, like the way they evolved, it's like it's segmented. So like they potentially could have as many segments and limbs as they want.
There's actually,
And they actually they evolved from like, I think it's like a mollusk type thing where they actually had lots of segments. So their evolution, rather than going,
they went the other way.
building 2 like
Yeah.
pairs of limbs, it was actually reducing how many huge amounts of segments they had. So they got to 6, and 6 was like, yeah, this is a good number. We'll stay at
It's good
6.
number. Stay here. Love it.
Oh dear. Anyway,
That's all good. Good way to end it. It's been outro. I like that.
Yep.
If people, and we'll see how many people actually listen to the end of the show.
got to the end of the show for biology monologue.
Fantasy biology.
We need
Cool,
biology and maybe premonition as well. Have we got a prediction? Another prediction from Josh the Prophet?
Oh, look, I've got one. I've put my one out. I'm not
It's
going to
got one
overdo
out.
it.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Stay tuned. See you next week.
Cool.
Let Josh
Thanks,
the
Matt,
Prophet
for-
sleep. Start dreaming
See if
about
I dream
Warhammer
again.
It just shows
It
how,
was so vivid.
how
When I woke
immersed
up, I
we
was
are in
like-
this hobby.
I was like, did that really happen? And then I realized that no, it didn't actually happen. So I'm disappointed.
Shimmy
He's
in.
gonna,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
he's gonna wake up midweek. Just line hammer. Oh.
Nothing's left to be more than miles wide.
Cool. Oh, well, let's,
Right.
thanks, Matt, for coming on, and hopefully you get a few more spots filled with ShyCon over the next couple of weeks. If we don't talk to you before then, I mean, Andrew will be down there, but yeah, have fun at it, and thanks for running.
you.
Yeah, one of the first-ish old world events. Obviously, there's a few others in Australia, but yeah, one of the first. Cool.
Thanks for
Well,
having me
anyway.
on. Appreciate
Ah,
that.
Yeah,
well,
cheers,
good,
Matt.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming on, Matt.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Matt.
And for all the listeners, obviously, thanks for listening to another Old World Fanatics and us rambling through comp and whatever else we talked about. If you're, if you do enjoy it, obviously, as usual, please leave us those 5-star ratings on your podcast software of choice. And if you're watching on YouTube, just hit that like, subscribe, and alert buttons like we asked at the beginning. And I will plug the patrons again. Thanks so much, guys, for supporting us. And if you want to join, just hit patreon.com/oldworldfanatics, and pretty much we're on every social if you want to hit us up. But usually we're pretty more responsive on YouTube probably. If you want to hit us up in the comments there, we're always checking that. So until next time, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Old World Fanatics. And Matt, Josh, and Andrew, I will see some of you guys next week. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks. Ciao.
Cheers. Bye.